New developments in the battle over the state's ban on abortion.
You have to make expectant mothers and women feel comfortable that if they're in a situation where their life is on the line, that they will be properly treated.
Why Texas doctors may soon get new guidance on when exceptions to the ban are allowed. One of the state's biggest names in medical marijuana is calling for more regulation. What's behind the growing concern about cannabis-based products and how it could change what you can legally buy in Texas. A new school safety law dramatically expanded security requirements on campuses across Texas, but some districts are still having trouble meeting those standards.
This is essentially an unfunded mandate, so we had to find the capacity within our budget to afford this.
We look closer at the different steps districts are taking to make sure students stay safe at school.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Will Dupree. Josh Hinkle is on assignment. The Texas Medical Board is meeting next week to discuss clarifying what counts as medical exemption to the state's abortion restrictions. It comes after two high-profile lawsuits highlighted stories of Texas women who had life-threatening pregnancy complications but were denied treatment. Monica Madden spoke to the lobbyists who pushed the board to this point.
It should be personal to any woman.
After the Texas Supreme Court rejected Kate Cox's ask to end her non-viable pregnancy in her home state, lobbyist couple Amy and Steve Bresnan felt compelled to act on their own accord.
We did not want the circularity that's created by one branch of government asking the other branch of government to do its job. And meanwhile, these flesh and blood human beings and physicians and their patients are caught in the circle.
After their January petition, the Bresnans were surprised to learn the Texas Medical Board would consider clarifying the exceptions language in a meeting next Friday.
I think it's a confluence of things coming together.
Especially since the law's author, Republican Senator Brian Hughes, wrote the board about this almost 2 years ago. Hughes says their intent was never to hurt expecting moms facing severe complications.
Every medical provider should know if a woman has a life-threatening condition, she must be treated. Texas law does not stand in the way of that.
But physicians in Texas have voiced fear of performing an abortion in the state.
I've always tried to practice within the standards of care, and I don't want to risk my freedom, my livelihood.
The law does not say that the physician has to wait until the condition gets so bad that the mother is in an emergent situation. The law does not require that.
Doctors who violate Texas abortion law could face criminal charges, lose their license, or face fines north of $100,000. The Bresnans are hoping possible changes will help women like Kate Cox going forward.
This is, in my opinion, a very pro-life move. It's one thing to be anti-abortion, and it's another thing to be anti-mother.
Monica is joining us now. Monica, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate that.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You know, it would seem that clarifying some of these exceptions for the abortion ban would have happened already. Why is this happening now?
I think there's a couple of reasons, Will. A lot of this has been delayed because of the pending litigation from Amanda Zarowski, of course, Kate Cox's case as well. And the Texas Medical Board has been hesitant to make any action on that. My sources say because of the ongoing litigation. One has to speculate if it was a combination of all of these lawsuits that got national attention. Of course, we've seen, President Biden highlighting the stories of Kate Cox and Amanda Zarowski recently. So a lot of people are really focused on this and, on that national stage. And even Senator Brian Hughes, the Republican author of the abortion restrictions law, had wrote the Texas Medical Board back in 2022 asking them to add some of these clarifications. So the lobbyists I spoke to, Amy and Steve Bresnan, were not sure why exactly it was their petition that finally got the Texas Medical Board to start the process of clarifying this. We don't know what will happen, of course, but they think that it's perhaps a compilation of all of those things combined.
I'm wondering how this will all affect some of the cases that are going through courts right now. particularly about these exemptions for the abortion ban. Let's talk about that case with Amanda Zarowski and those other women in Texas. Where does that case stand?
I think that's a really good question to ask, Will, because that case is still pending before the Texas Supreme Court. They're waiting for an opinion. And specifically in their lawsuit, what they're asked for the courts is to write clarification in the law that says in cases of, similar ones to these women where they have these medical conditions that are presenting a risk to themselves eventually, that, where their fetus is non-viable and there's no chance of survival, they want to be able to get abortions in Texas under those circumstances and are wanting the justices to clarify the law. But what we've heard from, Republican supporters of the law is it's not up to the judicial branch to clarify the law. We made it clear, that's what Republicans have defended it as, and therefore, if there are going to be clarifications, it needs to come from the Texas Medical Board. So, hypothetically, if the Texas Medical Board provides the clarifications that they are needing and changes the guidance for other physicians, it very well could settle one of the main issues in this lawsuit. I haven't spoken to the lawyers yet though, so we'll have to see how they would proceed if this changes the game for them.
So looking ahead to next week, the Texas Medical Board is going to meet. I know you'll be covering that very closely. What action could we expect to come from that?
I think the fact that they're considering this is just a significant point in and of itself. So what they will be doing there is proposing draft language of what exactly exceptions will we carve out. Of course, health conditions are complicated and nuanced. There's so many different things that someone can experience when they are going through a pregnancy, different types of complications. So there's a wide umbrella of different terminology they have to include to make sure that no woman who is possibly going to experience a life-threatening condition will be left out of these exceptions. Because again, what Senator Hughes has told me is the goal is to make sure that we're protecting life, including the mother. So they're going to have to come up with a carefully drafted language, approve that, and then they'll issue that guidance out to their physicians. But there is a 30-day period of public comment where they invite the public to weigh in on this before it becomes final.
So many more steps to go. All right, Monica Madden, thank you for your reporting and for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Will.
A federal appeals court upheld a Texas law requiring minors to have parental permission to get birth control. The ruling affects federally funded clinics that provide contraceptives to minors. The Biden administration argued the law went against a federally funded pregnancy health program known as Title X. However, the decision from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals found that empowering parents to consent to teens receiving contraceptives did not go against the federal law. It is unclear if the administration will appeal this ruling. More cannabis-based products hit the market in Texas, and not all of them are legal. Why it's leading to new calls for regulation from people you might not expect. Our investigation uncovers gaps in the state's do not hire registries. Cracks in the system led to the hiring of a tutor while he was being investigated for misconduct. Why a potential fix is not being used yet. Some Texas schools are struggling to meet new school safety requirements. How different districts are finding solutions to keep students safe on campus.